Hi, everybody. This is a Yin Yoga practice in which you might use many props. So I would just gather blankets and bolsters and pillows and anything you can, particularly if your hips are kind of tight, the front of your hips, you're going to want that extra support. Okay, so we're going to begin right away in a wide knee child's pose with a twist. So you can begin by taking knees out wide, big toes to touch, hips back toward the heels, and then we'll add the twist here. Of course, everything is optional. Make it work for you. So with any kind of deep flexion, which we're going to do quite a bit of potentially, putting a blanket in the knee crease might be helpful. If your ankles are tight, you can put like a rolled up sock or a thin blanket underneath your ankles so that there's not too much tension. We're going for a moderate amount of sensation. Okay, so to add the twist in our wide knee child's pose, we'll take the left arm and thread it, just like you might do in cat-cow, thread it over to the right, and then bring your right arm behind your back. To rest on your back, if you can hook the hand between the torso and the thigh, that just kind of locks it into place, which is kind of nice. And then you could have the side of your head on the ground or your forehead on the ground. And we'll be here for about 5 minutes. Most of our shapes today will be a slightly shorter hold, but this first one will be 5 minutes on each side. And of course, you can come out earlier if it's feeling painful or unhelpful. That said, there's some discomfort usually to breathe through and breathe into and be present for. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. Breath is in the foreground of awareness. From here, releasing the right arm that's behind your back, rising up to all fours. And then come on your belly or lie on your back or have a seat for a moment, finding a neutral position that helps to create a sense of ease and probably release through the body, just for a few breaths. And continuing on to our YV child's pose on the other side. The big toes touch or pretty close together. Knees are as wide as is comfortable. We'll thread the right arm underneath you over to the left or whatever your second side is. And bring your other arm behind you to rest on your back. Maybe to kind of tuck the hand between the thigh and the trunk. So it kind of stays there. You might need to shift or adjust your position. The kind of movements we don't want to make are fidgety movements or unnecessary movements. So committing to stillness as much as you can. One more minute here. And be very slow and gentle coming out of these long held shapes. From here, we'll make our way again to some sort of neutral, whether that's a moment just sitting or shavasana or lying on your belly. Something that seems relatively easy and simple and soothing. Noticing the field of energy moving through you. Our next shape is a half saddle. It's called in Yin Yoga. It's a half hero's pose or virasana in the more traditional terminology that usually applies to a more young practice. So for this half hero's pose, it could be a seat, it could be supine. We're going to do several poses on one side and then we'll switch over to the other side. So if you wanted it to be a seat, you might want to elevate your sitting bones. We'll start with our right leg tucked back first. Okay, so it could be like that, or you could grab some blankets or even a bolster. If you wanted more support, you go back a bit further. If you can lie all the way back, no problem, then go for it. Otherwise, be more in this shape potentially, like so. Breathing here. We'll be just in this pose for 2 or 3 minutes. Support your head as well. It's more balancing to keep this other foot planted than to straighten the leg, unless you have no problem lying all the way back. Well, yin yoga is usually practiced with all the muscles relaxed. That might not be ideal for you in every shape. So here, for example, you might want to engage the right glute and see how that feels. Slow, steady breath. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. If you lay back, try to come up symmetrically, rooting the arms, engaging your abdominals. You can slide any props you've used out of the way for a moment. We're going to come from here, working on the same side, into a lunge, a low lunge. So the left foot will be forward. We're still targeting the right hip. I like to use blocks here, personally. And if it feels good for you, it can be really spread out and really sink. I find that's kind of aggravating for my body after a little bit. So I stay a little bit more upright here. And again, we'll be here for about 2 or 3 minutes. 3 minutes is the plan. You can certainly come out sooner if it's feeling like a bad idea. Paying attention to sensation. The mind might be tempted to wander off, but keep it here in the body with the breath. From here, gently easing your way out of the lunge. We're going to come right into a wide-legged seat with the right leg in this saddle, in this hero shape. Like so. You can roll the fleshy part of your calf out to the side. You can always sit up onto a blanket if that leg mine needs to kind of straighten for a minute. If the seat's uncomfortable, sitting up onto a blanket or a bolster could be helpful. We're going to take this, we're going to add a side bend here over the left leg, over the straight leg. Yeah, so if you want, you can use a bolster or blocks to support your head. I don't like my head hanging personally. Doesn't feel like it's right for me, so I usually support my head. So I'm angled away from the right leg, folding over the left leg. Keep coming back to the breath. Perhaps directing your breath into your back or to wherever you feel resistance in your body. One more minute here. Slowly, carefully rising up from the forward fold. Coming two more shapes on the same side in the sequence. This next shape is pigeon shape or swan, as they call it in Yin Yoga, with the left leg forward. We're still targeting the front of this right hip. That's it. This is another, just about a 3-minute hold. watching and listening inwardly. Just a few more breaths here. And then you can gently roll off to your left hip. We're coming back one more time into this wide-legged shape with right leg in saddle or hero. This time we might be folding forward rather than over the leg. This is a tough one, in my opinion, for my body. So if you have internal rotation limitation, it's particularly going to be difficult. If you have any kind of SI issues, sciatica, disc issues, you might want to stay upright instead or even lean back versus folding forward. And you might not fold forward very far before you decide like, oh wow, that's enough sensation. I'll be here for just 2 minutes because this is a bit more of a doozy for most folks. Definitely be adding support or adjusting how wide the legs are, or sitting up on something. If you're feeling knee pain, we're not stretching the knee here. This is about the hips and the fascia and the meridians. I mean, we might feel some sensation, some stimulation in the knee, but that's not the same as feeling pain in the knee. A few more breaths. If you folded forward, very gently, very slowly, rising to upright spine, and then slowly, carefully Freeing out your legs. Maybe just stretch them forward for a moment. And then we'll come into child's pose before we do those same 4 shapes on the left side. So we already did a wide-legged child's pose at the very beginning. So this time, consider having knees closer together, about hip width apart. And you can have your arms relaxed forward or alongside your body. Directing your breath into your back, spread it across, and then down the back. Okay, and then gently rising up. Take your time here. Setting up for our half saddle or half hero shape with the left leg folded back. Again, maybe you're sitting, staying upright. Maybe you're back onto your forearms. Maybe you're on your forearms on a bolster. Keeping the other foot planted, unless you're in the full shape with total comfort, it's going to be more balancing to the sacrum. Tracking sensation, anchoring to the breath. About 1 more minute. Very carefully rising up. And straighten the left leg out in front. You're using a bolster. Slide that off of your mat. If you'd like to use blocks for the lunge, get a hold of those. This time we have the right foot forward, the left leg back, left knee down. And you can have your foot flat. I often tuck my toes under because it just feels better on that knee. So if you're getting knee pain, you can try untucking or tucking, changing it up. See if one works better than the other. Softening into the shape. One more minute in the lunge. Rising up out of this shape to our wide-legged seat with the left leg in saddle. Have handy anything you might want to support your head with. Maybe elevating sitting bones to find more ease in the shape. We're folding over the right leg, over the straight leg, or staying upright, always an option. One more minute here. Slowly and carefully rising up, releasing out of the shape, coming into swan, pigeon shape, with the right leg up, right leg forward, and the left leg stretching back. One more minute here. Let your weight shift off to your right hip, over to your right hip. Coming back into our wide-legged seat with the left leg in saddle. You don't need to go super wide here, so particularly if your left knee is feeling uncomfortable, maybe go a little less wide will be helpful. This is the shape where you might be happier staying upright or just a small fold forward. And if you can comfortably fold forward more, then feel free. And slowly, with care, coming out of this shape, and stretch out the leg. You can just sit here or rely on your back or your belly or come back into child's pose for a few breaths. And then from here, we're going to come into full saddle. So both legs are bent back, like hero's pose. You could be sitting on your feet or between your feet on a block. Maybe this is the best place to stay for you. Or if you felt inclined to recline, you could use your bolster to support your spine or crosswise just to go underneath your shoulder blades. I always like to roll the fleshy part of my calves out to the side. So there's a little bit more room to flex the knees. You can put a blanket between your knees if they need a little bit more room. Maybe you go back just a little bit onto your forearms. You could lie further back if that seems good for your body. Okay, and then gently coming up, that's a shorter hold. We've done a lot of saddle throughout this practice. Come into a wide-legged seat, this time with the legs straight. our last shape here prior to Shavasana. So again, the legs could be quite wide, but if you're getting a lot of sensation in the knees, I would bring the legs closer in so that the sensation is more spread through the legs than isolated in the knees. Okay. This will be potentially a 5-minute hold, so longer hold. And consider supporting your head. If you have any kind of spine issues, consider staying upright or even leaning back onto your hands instead of folding forward. About 1 more minute here. Slowly and gently rising up out of the forward fold. And you can bring your legs out in front of you and lie down on your back in Shavasana. I'm just resting now. Coming back into the river of breath. Coming back into your body, a sacred vessel. And you can start to move and stretch a little bit, reawakening. And if and when you feel ready, rising up to a seat. Let's bring hands, palms together at heart center. And bow our heads with gratitude. Each breath and this precious human existence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. Thank you. Namaste.